So this story is because my mom, who watches these every night, asked me to tell more stories about when I was a kid. So what are you going to do? She's my mom. So my friend Kim and I were probably, I'm going to say 13 or 14 years old. And my brother and his friend Jim would have been then like 17 or 18, give or take. So it was a Friday night or Saturday night, one of the two. And our parents had gone out for the night, leaving us home. Well, Kim and I were going to camp out in the basement. So the lower level of our house, the basement of our house, was half furnished and half finished furnished, and then the other half, there was actually a wall and a door, is where the utility room was. The laundry room, a workshop, workbench, HVAC unit, that kind of thing, storage. So Kim and I were going to camp out on the floor in the downstairs rec room, because that's where our television set was in our house. So we were going to watch movies, whatever. Anyway, so we laid our sleeping bags out on the floor, so they'd be ready for the night. And my brother and his friend Jim had gone out somewhere. We didn't know where. Didn't matter. We were fine on our own. And we went upstairs to my room to listen to records or something. I'm not really sure what. But while we're upstairs, it's, dark. Suddenly, all the lights in the house turned off. Lost power. Pitch black. Nothing. I think Kim screamed. I'm not a screamer. So we're like, man, how do we hit all the circuits in the house? They're all, everything was dark. So I was like, well, no worries. I knew where the circuit breaker was. So we cautiously, buddy, down in front there, bud, go. We cautiously made our way down the staircase from the bedroom, across the living room, down the staircase into the basement. Didn't have a flashlight, oh no, but I knew where everything was. So I figured, what's the big deal? I'll find it. Into the furnished part of the basement. Opened the door. Went into the unfurnished part of the basement, which was really dark, even darker because there's no windows. And of course, the circuit breaker box was in the furthest corner of the unfinished part of the basement. So I'm just cautiously kind of like, buddy, go, walking around with my hands trying to figure out where things were. And the circuit breaker was on the wall above the washing machine. So I knew when I got to the utility sink that I was close, because it was the utility sink and then the washing machine and then the circuit breaker box. So I felt the sink, and I walked along the edge of the sink, and I felt the washing machine. Like, great, I'm close. So I reached up to open the door of the circuit breaker, and somebody grabbed my wrist. I thought I was going to have a heart attack, like clinging to the ceiling kind of a thing. My brother and his friend thought it'd be oh so funny if they just turned off all the lights in the house and then scared us. Oh, so Kim was screaming. I was just mad. She screamed, I yelled. So we're just flailing around, and Jim picks me up, like this, picks me up. Paul picks Kim up. They carry us upstairs claiming that the house was theirs, that we just needed to stay outside, and they were claiming the house as their territory. Well, they had to get through the front door. So Paul has Kim in his arms, and he turns around to push the front door open, and he put her backside right through the plate glass. The plate glass. Glass everywhere. Kim screams again. Now the front door is broken. Okay, so much for that fun. So now we've got a mess to clean up, and we're going to try to figure out, how are we going to explain to our parents what happened when they came home? And my brother, it's like, no problem. We're going to clean this up. There's a screen downstairs. We're going to replace where the glass was and just put the screen in there, and they'll never know. I'm like, really? You think they won't notice that what used to be a glass door is now suddenly a screen door. He's like, no, they'll never know. It'll be late, and by tomorrow, they won't even, it'll be fine. So Paul and Jim fixed the door while Kim and I cleaned up the glass. We got that all situated, got the screen in place, got the door reinstalled, and then we just had to wait for my parents to come home. I was a nervous wreck. I've always had a really sensitive conscience when it comes to lying and stuff. So I'm thinking, if they look at me, I'm gonna have to tell them the truth. My brother's like, don't say a word, we all have to agree if this is gonna work. We all have to say the same thing. So, needless to say, my brother told, my parents didn't notice a thing, and they asked how everything was, and my brother said, oh, fine, everything's great, no problems. I just couldn't stand it. I started crying, I fessed up, I told the whole thing, how we'd broken the door, and blah, blah, blah. So then, of course, my parents were mad. And they were all right with it, but it's like, now we had to pay for the door, so we had to pay for new glass for the door between the four of us. Which I didn't think was fair because it wasn't our fault that it got broken, because if they hadn't been fooling around and pushed Kim through, anyways. Long story short, that tragedy was ended, so it's like, all right, everybody just go to bed. So Kim and I went downstairs to get into our sleeping bags and go to bed for the night. So we open up our sleeping bags, and it was cold, so we had we'd each had sleeping socks or whatever. Our socks had been stuffed with cat food, and our sleeping bags were scattered with kitty litter. Thankfully, it was clean kitty litter. My brother pointed that out. Well, at least it was clean. Oh, brother. Anybody else have an older brother who's just a joy to behold? That was a day in the night of a couple of teenage girls and a couple of teenage boys getting into trouble. But it could have been a lot worse, right? If that's the worst trouble that anybody could get into, be thankful, right? So, I hope you enjoyed that, Mom, that recitation of that story. And Paul, if you watch this, I'm still mad at you. No, I'm not. So, anyways, that's it for tonight. Short one. I'm tired. Take care.